Every year, there are nearly millions of actions and results that we have. Depending on how we look at those, they could pull us down or lift us up. We're going to talk about why we celebrate and the value that it provides this week. And today, we're going to focus a little bit on celebrating this year and why we're going to celebrate. All on this episode of today's Antidote, episode number 738. We'll be back in just a minute.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Oops, sorry.
If you don't want me here, Tom, it's fine. I understand you're in the hostage protection area right now, and it's not the same. I get it.
Correct.
So anyway, I owe you a do. So there you have it.
Yes, indeed. Good morning, Bob. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Did you have a nice weekend?
I did. It was lovely. It was really nice. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Ate way more than I should have, and now I might actually be at normal weight by the end of the day. We'll see. How about you? You had the whole family there.
We did. Yep, it was great. We had a very nice day. Our son and his fiance showed up yesterday afternoon, so we ate and then we opened some gifts and played a game. Had a nice evening.
Was your father-in-law able to make it down or no?
He was. He made it.
Nice.
The weather wasn't that bad. He was able to sort of get through, and which was
awesome.
Good. Yeah.
Awesome. There you go. All right. So we've got a week of talking about celebrating.
We do.
I can't
How are you
wait.
feeling about that?
I'm feeling good. This is one of my favorite topics.
Oh, good.
This is something that I think you and I have really. I'm really proud of this part of what we do. Honestly, this might be the single greatest part of what we do that I've seen it change a lot of people. In fact, I don't think I told you, but on the check-in, check-up, we were chatting as usual, 3 or 4 of us, and towards the end, one of the people said, "Hey, by the way, I got a celebration." And he shared that it was his, I think, 37th wedding anniversary.
Right.
Yeah. So it was just really nice. It's great that that's taken hold and people expect it. And when it's not there, they're asking for it.
They're looking for it, right?
Yeah.
And just in case you're unsure, our check-in and checkup is the thing we do every Wednesday afternoon with our Renegade Success Network members, just as a way to sort of see where they are, if they need any help, and as a way to continue to connect as a community, which I think is so valuable. So if you want to learn more about that, or the Renegade
so
Success,
far, right?
I'm sorry?
To celebrate what we've accomplished so far.
And what we are going to do in the future.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you want to know more about the Renegade Success Network, just message up Bob or I.
Or here, I'll put it in the chat.
Okay. All right, everyone. Good morning and welcome to today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast, where we have a conversation each week around a topic. Then every day we break down that topic in an effort to try to provide some additional clarity as you try to create your own unique pathway to success. As we go through that conversation today, sorry.
What was that? You've got distractions, don't you?
There's some things, there's different noises that I can hear. I am in a, this remote location that Bob always says looks like I'm a hostage. When my kids show up, 7 o'clock's a little early.
He's relegated to the guest quarters.
Yes.
on the Brush encampment.
Yes. I don't want to keep them
like
out
Kinney
of my
Bunk
office.
Court or Camp David, But you have a valet that brings you breakfast and helps you get dressed each morning.
No, that's not correct. So anyhow, as we have our conversation, if you have any thoughts or ideas that you would like to share, please feel free to put them in the comments. because we know that'll add value to our show and might impact what we have to say. And at the end of that conversation, Bob and I will each offer our one thing, our today's antidote, that thing that we hope will help you if you're struggling. And sometimes at this time of year, people are struggling to figure out why we would celebrate this year. So we hope that it'll help you figure out how to take your next step along your own unique pathway to success. And of course, if you have an antidote that you would like to share, please feel free to put it in the comments of whatever social media you happen to be following us on, whether that is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or
LinkedIn Live, baby.
LinkedIn Live. Yes, we welcome those thoughts and ideas. Now, before we dive into our conversation, each morning, as we're going to talk more about later today, we celebrate. So, Bob, what are you celebrating?
I'm celebrating that yesterday, which was Christmas, I was blessed with the opportunity to be welcomed into another family. And they took me with open arms, and it was just really fun to be around a different family that I'm used to and to see different traditions and different stories and to actually be picked on a little bit by people, which is a sign that they really like you when they start picking on you and making fun of you, because I had a red vest on. I had a sport coat on and a red vest, and I had kind of festive socks. And that I was clearly the most dressed up person there. So they were
Nice.
they were having fun with that. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yes.
It's always interesting, I think, when you're with other people. We had, as I mentioned, we had my son's fiance with us, and she commented how we have a very systematic opening gifts process. And he was like, wow, this is interesting. This is not the way that we do that. And so I think that's a fascinating thing that you, when you're with others, you get to learn a little bit about, what's real for them.
Is she from a big family?
She is from a big family.
That's the key. Big family, you can't go, Tom, you open one, Liz, you open one, Kelsey, you open one. It just doesn't work. It's got to be pandemonium, or you'd be there for 10 hours.
Right. I know some people who were there for 10 hours with big families. So it is all about what's real for you and your family and what you appreciate.
And I was thinking of you, Tom, yesterday, because they were playing a game. I don't know if you've ever played this, left, right, center.
No.
It's a dice game, and everyone gets in a circle, and you roll the dice, and everyone has $3 to start. And you roll 3 dice, and it's either left. If it says left, you give $1 to the person on the left. If it says right, you give it to the person on the right. If it's a C, you put money in the pot in the middle. If it's a dot, you keep the money, your dollars.
Yeah.
And so you play around, and there were 13 people playing. So the pot eventually gets to $39. And because of the rules, you could be out of the game. And then if the person rolls an L and you have no money, you get $1.
You're back in.
And you're suddenly back in. So I didn't play, but I watched. And it was just fun to watch. It looked like the kind of game that you would really enjoy, because I know you like the board games and it would be fun. So I actually I found where I can get a set, and I think we might have to try that as part of the end of our event on January 5th, just for giggles.
Interesting. Yeah. How come you didn't play?
I didn't have $3. All I had was a 20, and I was just hanging out. It was more fun to watch and to heckle and encourage. There were a couple of little kids playing, and they it was fun to watch them because they got so excited. And just the act of rolling dice onto the dining room table is a fun activity for a little kid.
Sure.
And they would roll, so they kept their mind. They'd be like, yes. And they'd lose their $1 and be like, okay, here's $1. And then they get $1 back. It was more fun to watch than to play.
Okay, cool.
So how about you? What celebrate you today?
So I have 2 celebrations, sorry. But one I have to share because my mom, so as you remember last week, or you may not remember, I went home last weekend to be at my parents to play in an alumni basketball game to spend some time with them. And I had a project that I did for them, putting up a railing on steps.
Oh, no.
My mom wanted to make sure that I let you know that she used the railing. It was great. It worked just the way it's supposed to. He felt very
Love it.
good about the railing. So I'm celebrating that I got the railing up and that it has value for my parents. That's
I
one.
love it. I love
My
it.
other celebration is interesting, and it made me think about this a little bit. My oldest daughter
Mhm.
got me a Josh Allen jersey.
Oh, dude, that's
I know.
solid.
Now, I have been a football fan of the Bills for as long as I can remember. I
Are
mean,
you going to tell me you've never had a jersey?
I've never had a jersey.
No Jim
Ever.
Kelly jersey? No,
No Thurman Thomas, no Joe Ferguson,
no
no
OJ
all the
Simpson when you were a kid?
nope. Even though that was like the first game that I went to was a preseason game with OJ Simpson. I
Wow.
barely remember. All I remember about that is that we went with my uncle, who at the time I was a little kid, walked, and he always did walk very fast. He was just a fast walker. You almost were like jogging to try to keep up with him. So that's the one of the things I remember about that game. And I've never had one. Never even had like a t-shirt or anything like that. And I got thinking about it yesterday. And I think part of me felt like there's so many things that go into a person that we all have. And, sometimes we don't always want to take on the traits of all the people that we have. Like you think about it, anybody who bought an OJ Simpson jersey way back when, is probably
Right.
not wearing it now.
Or
And
I had a Ray Rice jersey.
Ray, right? There are players that, and so I think at some point to me, it was like, well, it's not my name. So why would I have it? Why would I wear it? And which is odd. That's me. That's just the way I think of things sometimes. And I got thinking about it as I opened it. I was like, wow, I'm not really the jersey wearing person. And I've never had one. And then I got thinking about the person whose name is on that jersey and just the way he is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just have seen so many, and I know they're all produced and whatever, but he's done some amazing things for this children's hospital in Buffalo.
Yes.
Him and the Bills fans have raised tons of money, and he just always seems to recognize the kids in the stands. Like he'll go over and he'll always try to sign autographs for them, and I know he's not unique. I know there are a lot of people out there who are like that, and there've been past Bills who've been like that. And I just was feeling like, you know what? If there's somebody out there right now, who knows? Results can change. He is someone that I feel like I would feel proud to be wearing his jersey because of who he is and the way he carries himself and the way he tries to represent himself, his family, the Bills, the city. I think that there's something about that that I value. And,
Wow.
I hope that continues.
You're
So
not
that was just
not one to overthink. Usually that's my department. So I
yeah.
enjoyed the opportunity to experience overthinking from a visitor perspective. You will be wearing that jersey on our program on Bills game days and Fridays before games, I assume.
So maybe next Monday. The Bills play next Monday.
Oh, they play Monday. Okay. All right.
Maybe, yeah. I hadn't thought about that. And I thought about wearing it today. And I was like, well, I want to tell the story first and then I'll
Okay.
go from
All right. I like it. That's a great gift.
Yeah.
That is like, yeah. Isn't it great when someone thinks of a gift that just you would never think to get yourself?
Well, it's interesting because I think that it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I do spend a fair amount of time paying attention to what's going on with the Bills.
I don't hold that against you, by the way.
Oh, that's okay. They did beat the Ravens this year, so that's once. We'll see what happens. There's lots of games to go. Yeah, so I don't know. It was an interesting thing. And that's one of the things she definitely knows about me, my interests. And so it kind of makes sense. And I don't think she knew that I had never owned a jersey. So
Didn't she get you Buffalo Bills tickets last year?
Last year, yeah.
Yeah. So, wow.
Yeah, so interesting. Just interesting.
Neat.
That's my celebration.
I like it. So we should talk about celebrations. Now we've modeled celebrations, and may I begin?
You may.
And we're talking today, refresh my memory. I totally blanked, Tom.
Our topic for the week is celebrating the year
The year, yes.
And today we're going to talk about why we celebrate.
Thank you. Thank you. So the why is really simple to me. It makes us two things. One, we recognize what we've achieved. And I really think that's the most important part of celebrations to me, is that we actually recognize what it is we did, the action we took, whatever that action is, whether it worked, whether it didn't work, whether, all those things, doesn't matter. Just taking the action. And I'm amazed at how many times in the last couple of years since you and I have really come to this, that you can, someone's like, well, I did this thing and it just didn't go the way I thought. It's like, whoa, time out. I want to stop with the thing you just said. I did this thing. Can we take a moment and recognize that you got totally out of your comfort zone and tried something that a week ago, a month ago, a year ago, you wouldn't have touched with the 10-foot pole. And suddenly you've normalized it enough that you're willing to look at the results, which suggests to me that you might actually do it again. And when I say that to people, they're like, what? Well, you're telling me what you're going to do next time.
Right.
And I don't think we think about that as much as we probably could. The other thing is, I think it helps us feel like we're actually moving towards what we're trying to do, whatever it is. I made cookies last week and I got a mixer and I didn't have a mixer. So I was mixing chocolate chip cookies with a spoon. I got this mixer and I wasn't going to buy a mixer because I had to keep it somewhere and don't make cookies that much. But it was like, I got this mixer. It changed the game. The cookies are 1,000 times better. And I took a moment to celebrate the fact that I got the mixer. As I was mixing it, I'm like, whoa, this looks like cookie batter. This is going to be great. It was a celebration of, I took this step to get this thing that made this easier and more productive. I took the step. Had the cookies tasted horribly, that wouldn't have mattered to me. This was before the cookies even went in the oven. So we're talking really preliminarily here. No idea what it tasted like, but it's like, that looks more like cookie dough than, if you do it with a spoon, not so much. And so celebrating that step actually encouraged me a week or so later to think about another kitchen appliance that I might need. And to have that, well, I got the mixer and that really helped cookies and I've used it for a couple other things. Boy, that was really a great decision to take that step. There's probably another step subsequent that, based on the success of that step, just in taking it, maybe I'll branch out, I don't know, get a blender or a NutriBullet or whatever they are. I have no idea. But thinking about that in a new way that goes, wow, that action led to this. And that's a real simple thing. Making cookies is terribly simple. But if you're starting a business and you decide on your logo and you decide on your business cards, if you even get business cards, that's a huge step.
Sure.
But most people are like, well, yeah, here, I got a business card, no big deal. No, whoa, time out. You've already, I haven't even given one out. No. You ordered them, you made a commitment. And if you're leading a team, hey, we're going to have a weekly meeting Monday, and this is the agenda. Well, what if it goes wrong? What if I don't know what I'm talking about? What if they realize I'm really clueless? Don't worry about it. You got the agenda together. You scheduled the meeting's coming. And I think that kind of approach makes it easier. For me, it's been a real game changer. It makes me much more comfortable with taking steps that I wouldn't have previously taken, because I think, and I was reading an article a couple of weeks ago, that there's a lot of brain research that doing something and rewarding yourself with the acknowledgement of doing it actually gets you to do more stuff. It's just that, it's Pavlovian.
Sure.
And so you get to this place where it's like, okay, my brain is working. It sees the positive benefit of just taking action. And they're finding now that causes people to take more action. So the people that actually take the most action in their days are the people who actually take the time to celebrate it. Which is counterintuitive because you think, well, if I'm celebrating every step I take, I don't have enough time to do all the things I need to do. Except if you don't celebrate it, what's the other end? Oh, I don't know, Tom. I got to do this thing today. I'm really worried about it. I'm not. Oh, shoot. And you asked me how it went. Oh, I didn't do it. Well, why not, Bob? Well, I spent the whole day worrying about it and what might happen.
Yeah.
What do you think about all that?
Well, no, I think that there's a lot in there. That's great. And I think that one of the pieces you just touched on, and it kind of goes a little bit how I like to think about it is, I think the fact that we stop and take the time to celebrate almost forces us to think about it a little bit differently.
Mm,
If we
I
if we
like
didn't take the
that.
time to celebrate, we would just start judging it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was how we would define as good, quote unquote, or bad, quote unquote, that it doesn't give us the opportunity to stop and think about it. Like yesterday, when I was celebrating that jersey in my head, I recognized why in the past I hadn't had one, or what was going through my head, and why I valued this differently, and saw this as, yeah, I might wear that. Somebody might have gotten me one at another time, and I probably would have worn it. I just might have worn it and thought about it differently. And I think that the opportunity to take a moment to celebrate gives us the time to actually consider that event and think about, well, what does that mean, and what have I gained from that event? And again, I think it works and that's why it doesn't matter what the results were. It's about the action. And so when you take the action and you celebrate the action, give you a chance to say, what did I take away from this? What did I learn from this? And I think without doing that we sometimes miss and forget to do that. And I think that, the other reason is that I think we always want to celebrate the things that we see as quote unquote positive or that went well. And I think
Our
we sometimes
successes.
forget the value of some of the things that didn't go as planned. And mostly because those results can change. And something that earlier this year, if you look back, and one of the reasons I was looking at this and thinking about, should we just talk about celebrations or should we actually celebrate the year? And I thought there was real value in doing the year because you have an opportunity to go back and look at the year. And some people will look at it and they'll see are I'm sure, given all that's going on in the world, there are people who've had a rough year. And so there's if they don't think about even celebrating how challenging it was, maybe that they made it through it and they're where they are today, or that they can stop and take a look back and see that maybe that thing that seemed so awful might have different value. It might have something that I actually can gain from and learn from. And that, to me, that's what it's all about, is how do we take from what we have done, understand it, not judge it, and then figure out, well, how does that impact what's real for me? How does that change my knowledge, experience, and perspective? And I think, for me at least, that has allowed me to more freely move from one thing to the next. Not that I don't sometimes pause and judge what happened. I think I get out of that judgment quicker and just move on and be like, okay, what did I learn from that? What are I ask myself the same 3 questions so that I give myself a chance to learn, and then try to understand how that's going to impact me now, and realize that it might impact me differently in the future.
I think it's also sometimes difficult to celebrate alone. Like
Sure.
you explained about the jersey to you and what it meant to you. I would celebrate it differently for you. May I share that with you?
Of course.
One, those are not inexpensive items.
Sure.
The fact that your daughter could do that suggests that she's reached a certain point in her life. And the fact that she takes some of that hard-earned money and applies it to you is really a sweet gesture.
Absolutely.
The other part that jumps out at me is that your daughter knows what you're passionate about and wants to be a part of that. And so I think that's sort of the situation sometimes when I'm coaching people. It's like they get locked into one kind. I'm celebrating this for this, especially if it goes well.
Sure.
You know, I had this meeting. I led this meeting. Went really great. My team was all on the same page at the end. It's like, okay, wait a second. There are a couple other things we need to celebrate. You told me this was the first time you've ever done an agenda and gave it to people in advance. You told me this is the first time that you let Tom in the back of the room say his piece without cutting him off. Hey, those are huge successes. Those are huge things to celebrate in and of themselves. And I think sometimes we lose sight of the incremental things that get there. So for your daughter to be able to get you the jersey, a lot of things had to happen. You know, you have to have a good relationship with your daughter. She has to be at a place where she can afford that kind of gift. I know you and Liz had involvement in that along the way. That wasn't like she just money fell out of the sky. And so I would celebrate part of that is great parenting. And I'm the guy who has no children. So for me to say great parenting, that's because I see it from the outside and go, wow, that's really a nice relationship that you have a child that gets you a gift like that, that clearly means enough for you that you're saying, I've never had one, and this is actually the one I'd wear.
I like
and
that.
So it's not always one celebration, right? It could be many celebrations tied in a step we take.
Yes. And I think this is going to be my one thing as I was thinking about it.
Okay.
One of the beauties of celebrating, especially if we share it with others, which again, as we talked about all week or all month, sharing and receiving of gifts and the value that has, is that each of us can look at it differently. And there are many things to celebrate. Those things did not pass. Like I considered those as a part of all the
and I'm
things.
not
that
saying you didn't, Tom.
No,
I'm not saying you didn't.
I didn't say it in that way. I was just saying it in a way to say that there are a lot of things that when you take the time to actually stop and celebrate, that you can think about. And you can say, wow, there's all these little pieces of it. And what it really reminded me of was that whole idea of that things that happen now, there are other things that led up to it. And at some point, you know, you think about what's the first step that was taken that allowed to get to this point that I can now celebrate what happened before. And if you could go back to, okay, it was her childhood years, it was Liz and I meeting, it was my love for the Buffalo Bill, whatever, you could take it back a long way. And it really shows to me all the things that have happened that led up to the reason that I'm celebrating now. That it wasn't just the act of her giving me the gift yesterday. As much as that is also something to celebrate. It's how did we get to this point? And all of the things that have happened along the pathway for us to be where we are. And I think those are the things we forget. If we're not taking the time to celebrate, or if we only celebrate those things that, you know, we celebrate after the fact, we celebrate only those things that went well or were successful or positive, all those words that are just judgments. It gives us a chance to celebrate all the things that happened and how what's real for us has changed throughout that process. And I think sometimes that's why I struggle to figure out with a celebration in the morning. One thing to celebrate is as I start to think of all these things, I think of all these other things that led to it that I could celebrate as well. And I think that it almost in some ways gets overwhelming to consider all the things that we have the opportunity to celebrate because of all the things that we have learned and the results that we have gotten that have changed over the years. And then it gets me thinking about, well, what does the future mean for that? What am I going to do? You know, about the saying, and why I have that saying on my wall, and I use it quite a bit, is what are we going to do today that our future self will celebrate for? And I think it's a powerful thing for us to think about is what might I do today that I have no idea and I can't control the results.
Mhm.
Yet at some point, I might look back and be celebrating this action today many years from now, and likely many times.
Wow. That was heavy.
Sorry, didn't mean to do that.
No, it was great. It was great. I'm going to go with something more simple, which is, the reason we celebrate is it puts us in a much better frame of mind. I've never, when I've been on a Zoom call with someone and we celebrate, I've never seen them not smile. They can be in the worst situation in the world and it'd be like, well, but think about this. You did accomplish. Oh, you're right. And so often they don't even realize. I think that's the other piece of it. If I can have 2-1 things, it also helps us realize those steps we take. That so often we're so focused on the goal.
Yeah.
I want to be a millionaire. Well, to be a millionaire, you got to start making $1. It's $1 at a time. You don't just suddenly get up one morning and your business takes off and that day at noon, you're a millionaire. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And same thing with leading a team. For a team to successfully deliver a project to completion on deadline 3 weeks or a month, a year later, there are a lot of steps that a leader's got to go through. And I think we tend to forget all that. So we're going to keep talking about this all week. I can't wait. I love this.
We are.
I hope we're going to get to a time this week. We'll get to a time this week where we can celebrate some things, right? From the year.
Yes, we'll talk about that a little bit afterwards. I want to run something by you just to see what you think about the week. So, but I don't want to give it away.
Okay. All
right, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us today. If you have a one thing you'd like to share about why we celebrate and celebrating the year, please feel free to put it in the comments. If you happen to be listening to the podcast, we know there's no place to comment. And so we have created 2 opportunities for you. One, if you're a LinkedIn person, go to the Renegade Success Network for Leaders, and you can share your thoughts and ideas there. If you're a Facebook person, join us in the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, where others are gathering, both of those places, to share their thoughts and ideas to not only help others be impacted and to go and find that thing that might help them take their next step along their own unique pathway to success. So we look forward to seeing you inside of those rooms, or we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern time, for our next episode of today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Hey, embrace the renegading you. It is so worth it. So worth it.
Yes, it is. And go out and think about something about why you celebrate. It might have some impact on what you do and what you do in the future, and help you think about what you've done in the past. All right, everybody, go out and make it a great day. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.